You know, I once got confused because I was learning freestyle. Then you light it, then you breathe, right? I light it, I breathe out that. Breathe out like you suck. Then I give up.
Why can't Joseph Schooling get lit? This is your daily Ketchup. Bounced.
Boom.
Ding dong, everybody. Joseph Schooling is in the water, and hot water, may I add.
I still cannot swim, yeah.
But anyway, so Joseph Schooling, who can swim, has sunk after he has confessed to taking cannabis overseas in May.
Do you think that's offensive? Like just saying Joseph Schooling can swim. He not just can swim.
He best swim.
He faster.
People are kind of upset because he's in NS now, but he actually got a short-term like leave or disruption. They call it disruption.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, to go to compete in the SEA Games, which happened in May. And so it was then that he took the drugs lah. And that's why people are kind of saying that like
where was the SEA Games
in the
Hanoi in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Oh, Vietnam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so people are kind of angry because I mean on one hand NS is something that all guys have to go through, right? They're extremely strict about that in Singapore. But then he managed to get kind of like leave, understandably, right? To go and compete there. And then he abused it.
Did he though?
He abused weed.
I think the most annoying thing was how the media outlets that received the PR, the press release, how they decide to frame it, and all of them kind of frame it in a similar way, like a fall from grace. Like say until like he killed somebody, like but at some point, a headline is like Singapore Olympic gold medalist Joseph Schooling admits to taking cannabis. Like at some point, this headline was not enough. We need to go further and talk about how he's become a shit human being and how he has fallen. Like I feel like wow.
Yeah. No, so
how is that initial one not enough? Singapore gold medalist admits to taking weed. Why is that?
No, but if every news publication published that, then why would I click into that?
But every news publication come out with their own spin of something worse and worse. Yeah.
I do feel there was a slight disconnect between the headlines and what the actual sentiments were, at least for people our age. Yeah. And I feel like maybe some of it has to do with the fact that we don't see consuming weed as being that bad.
No, okay. So when we're talking about this episode, right, I realized it was quite nice. You know when all the national athletes or like footballers and whatnot, then like the government kind of force them and say you are not above NS, you all must enlist. Then it's like damn hardball, right? Then you feel like walao, at what cost? Like the propensity for us winning a gold medal versus war, like the gold medal, as far-fetched it is still nearer than going to war, you know what I mean? And like the army won't miss this one person.
Hey, you never know.
But then like after all that hardball, then you go into NS, then actually, okay lah, they give you leave to train. It's like that's such a that's such a
fair
nice
balance.
Yeah, it's such a nice balance. But it's like the public doesn't have to really know that. Oh, I'm gonna give you like your whole 2 years, 1 year you'll be just swimming. And but the fact that it's kind of like that, it's nice.
Do you think it makes sense? Something that I've questioned a lot of, right, is that like when you look at individuals that come from like countries where they don't even have a soccer field. They don't even use a real ball. They use maybe plastic bottle. Okay lah, extreme lah, plastic water bottle.
Yeah, but like South America,
primary school you click plastic bottle.
Ronaldo use a deflated
then you put two shoes as the goal.
I was arguably better at that than with the real ball.
Yeah, yeah, but you have all these crazy like rags to riches success stories, right?
Yeah.
Then you hear Singaporeans say like, our systems are not in place. There's no support from the government. Do you think it's more of an excuse that we are making, or is it really Singaporeans just like no talent and all this kind of shit? You know what I mean?
I think it's drive though, because like a lot of like say South Americans or those from the African continent that really rise above, right? It's because they bopian need to do it for their family, for their village.
The lack of options, right?
Yeah, but in Singapore there's so many options. Like if you don't make it, you can still get educated, you can still have a normal job and all that. Like I feel like that drive is different compared to.
So it's actually the other way around. It's the fact that we have the privileges. That prevents us from
going all in.
Yeah.
Talking about deferment or like disruption or whatnot, right? I think like a big case was like the whole Ben Davis thing. And then everyone was saying, wait, look, he's like 17
Ben Davis
or 18.
is the monkey, right?
No.
What are you talking about?
Is Ben Davis not a clothing brand?
Ben Davis is a very common name. There's also another football player called Ben Davis. But anyway, like he's this British Thai like national who basically grew up in Singapore and he was supposed to serve NS because he's a PR. And then basically he wanted to ask for leave so that he can go and play for Fulham. Fulham is basically a Premier League team, and then he couldn't get leave or like deferment or whatever from NS, and so then he just gave up his like Singapore PRship or like nationality. I couldn't remember. What a lot of people say is that as a footballer, your development is so important from between the ages of like 15 to 21. That's when you really need to be training every day non-stop.
Right.
And like if there's any form of disruption in that, right, you could really drop out.
But it brings us back to the point you're making, right? Because like, how far am I willing to go to pursue my dream and my passion? I mean, okay, it's a bit f***ed up to pit this onto the individual to like, if you want to go and pursue your passion, you have to give up your citizenship, right? But then at the same time, it's how far is this person willing to go? If they don't want to give it up, then what is the reason they don't want to give it up? Is it because it's a backup plan, something for them to fall back on once again, right? Yeah, because if say I was that guy and this is really my dream, right? Like whatever Manchester United, whatever team he's going to play for, right?
Fulham.
Okay, it's also a very big team lah.
It's a
It's a Premier League team,
Yeah.
which is a big thing.
Go away, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but then
I
is
agree.
he not also like from a position of privilege? Like I mean, even in the case of Joseph Schooling, right? The only reason he managed to go where he is because his family could send him overseas and train him there. And in the same case, like Ben Davies had the privilege to be able to give up the Singapore citizenship, right? And like his parents can kind of like pay for him to go overseas or whatever and all that, which the rest of Singaporeans who want to pursue a career in sports, right, mostly will not get lah. So then the fault kind of falls back on Singapore also ma. It's like if I'm not rich enough to go overseas, I will not succeed in Singapore. Like to go back to your point on like, is it people just blaming the system?
Like the Schooling's paid like what, 1 million, almost the equivalent of $1 million to train him, right?
Yeah.
But it's economics, what? I feel like how many Singaporean swimmers are serious enough to put in $1 million to train to swim? If have, then there will be an elite swimming school. But if he's the only customer, then he needs to go overseas to train. Like my friend shared this story, right? IG story. I mean, it's a quote, I'm gonna butcher it. How not showing up or being lazy, right, is a stress coping mechanism. Because if you don't give it your all and you don't succeed, you can say that I didn't try. Is to protect your ego, right? And which to some extent you think about how much of the athletes might be using NS then as an excuse. If let's say the government do say, if we waive NS, you must get either gold, silver or bronze. If you don't get either gold, silver or bronze, you go to jail.
Yeah.
Then is that fair or not? Because if not, Singapore bankrolls your career.
If I'm not wrong, that was actually their argument in the Ben Davies thing. So because I think he was going to like play in their youth team or something lah. So it's not, I think, not at the level of achievement which Singapore would grant a deferment for. Yeah. So for example, Joseph Schooling did get a deferment.
Which I think is quite fair. So like you look at South Korea, which also has NS, right? And there's a lot of like South Koreans that play in Europe. They need to win either a medal in the Olympics or a gold medal in the Asian Games to then escape NS in South Korea. If not, right? Differ from going to NS.
Yep.
If not, they bopian have to spend what? I think theirs is like 3 years or something like that, or 4 years in NS.
Oh, damn.
So like Son is a very, very popular like player in the Premier League. Spurs, one of the best players in the world, and he nearly had to leave for 4 years to go for NS.
Yep.
And people said that was just going to be career ending already for him.
Okay lah, to be fair, right, if I look at it from the other perspective, the government cannot, once they open this door, once they let one person, you totally don't need to do
Floodgate
anything.
lah.
Yeah,
You set
then it
precedence.
opens the door for a lot of other things.
So I think bringing this back to like the whole Joseph Schooling and Cannabis case, right? Like I think the issue is that, okay, he paid for his success essentially, or his family paid for his success, right? So then when he wins the goal, everybody is jumping on it and be like, hey, Singapore won't go, and the, like ministers also come out, hey, in support. And then
Why
now,
so sheepish when you say ministers?
I don't know.
But now that we've had ministers.
That's why we're on their radar. Then right, now that he has this like fall from grace, so to speak, right? Then now suddenly there are a lot of people on his case, but like, okay, how come you were there when he like succeeded? Again, he paid for his success essentially, and then now that
he also worked hard for his success.
of course, he didn't pay to win,
Yeah.
but he funded that success, right? And then now that he has this fall from grace, then now like everyone's on like his back or whatever lah.
When you achieve greatness, right? Congratulations, Mr. Schooling, by the way, very good job. This is just a side effect of it, right? Either way, also everybody has a say, but whether you listen to it or not is your own tai chi, right? But having the nation kind of like celebrate your success together with you is a good thing, no?
But then
I
the
think
opposite-
claiming credit for it is just a way that people frame it in a way that they are celebrating a victory with you.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like, oh, it's ours, it's our thing, and then they go and think
Yeah.
all this shit.
Because I'm sure he enjoyed it when the ministers came and congratulate him. Or
It's like
when
recognition for all your hard
when
work
he
on a
fly back
national
and then
level.
The
Yeah.
airport was full of fans waiting for him to come back. I think you won that law, not just the people that contributed, which is your dad and your mum.
And they even got the guy who made the garland for our Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, right?
Yeah.
Make the same garland
Mr. Lee Kuan Yew.
for
Why you so
Joseph Schooling,
respectful today?
No, wait.
Mr. Joseph Schooling.
Because we did a video with the garland makers, right? Go check it out. Little, fun fact, little nugget for y'all. Okay, to tie it back, right? So
Like the garland.
like with the current situation, with the whole not flower, another flower, cannabis.
Hey.
I understand that the debate is that like, oh, people are like what you're mentioning, right? People are saying like, oh, shitting on him or whatever. But when I look online, right, most of the sentiments are actually quite positive.
Depending on
They
where
are
you
in
look, though.
support of him, like, hey, don't be so hard on him, lah, chill
Yeah.
lah. It was just a lapse of judgment or whatever and then they're okay, right?
Reddit seems to be the most
They're quite on his
rational.
side, yeah.
Yeah, but I think like a lot of the comments always bring up like, I think we should let him off because he was going through a tough time. His father passed away. He lost the Olympics again. You know, like momentary lapse of judgment. Let's have his back. I think that seems to be always attached to what he was going through at that time.
One of my questions is, right, if I'm going to go for a medical checkup in the army, say I'm serving NS or whatever, and then all this stuff happens between me and the doctor, I say, okay, yeah, I took me, I'm sorry, right?
Yeah.
Then, okay, now we have to do the test. How does that get leaked out to the news media? Unless I go and tell somebody and then it go and spread, or
Or it's
if
a press
from,
release lah, right?
or if it's from the other end, like the doctor, isn't it PNC? Like, you cannot go and tell people that.
But I feel like
okay, go and test Joseph Schooling urines, yeah. He smell nice, but also.
But we don't know where this like declaration had to happen, because if it's between him and the doctor, maybe. But maybe when they come back from wherever, they also need to make like declarations and stuff.
Yeah,
like
but then that declaration, that process, right? Is there a news reporter waiting there?
no, but you've admitted to a crime, right? So then they would probably feel that they need to announce that their own individuals who represented Singapore have committed a crime. So they feel the need, like whatever Olympics, so like committee or whatever in Singapore.
Yeah, I think
feels
so.
the need to
Because the public funds their travel there.
No, so actually
Yeah,
specifically
correct.
for Schooling, I think it's because he was on the NS deferment. So then MINDEF had to come out and say he's relinquishing this. He will not have this privilege anymore from now on. And I think that might have been where like it sparked. So like basically his punishment was that he's not going to be allowed to go out and train anymore, and then he's will be ruled out of the 2023 FINA World Championships and the postponed Asian Games.
Yeah, so people will be asking questions like,
Yeah.
hey, how come he's not in part of this tournament or what?
Yeah.
Just to break it down, right? Because I'm not sure exactly how the events played out, right?
Yeah.
Is it like he come back to Singapore, then they were like, you have to do a urine test. Do you want to confess or admit anything? If you do, the repercussions will be lighter. If you don't, and we catch you,
Yeah.
then you're going to get the worst.
It's like green lane or red
yeah.
lane.
Then in that moment, he like, I confess. You know? Yeah, I did it. I'm sorry. Then he
apparently
break
there were
down.
some rumors, I don't know whether it's reported or not, but I think it was the Amanda girl first.
It's reported. So basically what happened to him is he's a very suay lah. So a fellow swimmer who was coming back at the same time also, Amanda Lim, was actually caught with a wheat grinder. Hang on right there, everybody. Please like, share, subscribe to support this video so that you can get lit with us. Back to the episode. And then so I Google what is a wheat grinder and why can't she just say it's some random, like I used to grind my nuts or something, right? Then
Herbs.
herbs, yeah. Yeah, anyway, so then but apparently, so then tell me that it's a very specific thing and people usually just use it only.
That I researched.
Yeah, for your pasta.
Yeah, correct. No, oregano, guys. You can't underestimate oregano.
Okay. Oregano.
Hey, I don't want SPF coming to my knocking on my door. Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, this is being filmed in Australia.
And I'm not Singaporean.
Amanda Lim herself was charged for possession of this, and Schooling was charged for abuse of his disruption privileges. So both of them were actually not charged for taking drugs, because there's Shanmugam has come out to say that there's no clear evidence of that actually. They have gotten kind of like more lenient punishments because there's no clear evidence of them actually continuously taking the weed. They both tested negative, which
That's
is why they are
why.
not getting charged for drugs or sent to the rehabilitation center.
So actually nobody asked, then they just ownself.
Yes, yeah.
So
But she
actually,
clearly
right?
got possessed the weed lah.
So
Then
she shouldn't
Joseph
have brought
Schooling,
it back.
No, if you go overseas, right, there are some gift shops, right, where they just sell a shit ton of bongs and whatever like
I don't think you can bring back the bongs also.
devices.
They call it
There's like-
water jugs or like water.
Can't it be like
It's a
ornaments and
vase,
stuff
it's a
that I just
vase.
bring back? Yeah lah,
Like a
like
hookah.
decorative pieces.
Yeah. Like shisha
Cannot,
decorative pieces you
Why
can.
cannot?
No, so
Because like swords and guns also got ornamental and decorative.
need to
what?
declare, is it?
I know
But
there's
swords
a
and guns
very
can
specific list of like weapons that you cannot bring to Singapore.
Yeah.
And it might surprise you guys, right? But I can bring in an entire machete. Like I can order like a giant sword that I can actually use.
No, but you can't declare lah.
But you can't prepare a BB gun because it looks like they can't differentiate.
Oh, okay.
Like on the spot.
I'm picturing the Mr. Bean.
Your charge story.
I'm gonna get charged by Mindef next week.
Depending on when this episode comes out.
For the second time.
Also,
For
not
the second time.
maybe you and Schooling will meet.
No. So
bang buddies.
So this year, right, unlike most years, right, I'm very confident that I'll pass my IPT because I've been training consistently, right?
With this goatee.
Well, shout outs to yeah lah. So then I try and book my IPT like 3 weeks before my birthday lah. Then everything was full all the way to my birthday. Then I call them and then they say, oh, why you never book earlier? Then I'm like, hey, why you tell me this type of thing? Like, what is the point you tell me this type of thing? Like
over already.
yeah lah. Then I say, so what now? I just gonna wait until get charged. He say, oh, you need to check every day. Then I say, okay, I'll check. Then if don't have, how? Then he say, oh, then you will get charged. Then I say, but it's not my fault, what? Like the facility has a lack of slots for me, what? So it was full all the way, and then I purposely call and log it to say that I call the system, and then you have to reflect that it's full, and I try to book 3 weeks out. I feel like 3 weeks out is damn reasonable because IPPT, nobody want to take IPPT one. Like I never had trouble booking IPPT one. You want to book tomorrow, usually also can one, but now no. So anyway, next Friday I have to go CMPB and get my ass charged. Then maybe I go to jail.
No way. No way.
No, I mean,
Is this your first time?
second time.
Wow, that means really.
Yeah, that's why I got chance.
Oh.
So
I was kind of imagining it
I might go
as
to
the
detention
old man.
barracks. DB.
Vlog
So in the future episodes, you see my head put I went to detention barracks.
Is that why today you asked us, would you want to go and try jail for 2 weeks?
Would you though? It feels like a detox retreat.
Yeah, like a silent retreat.
Yeah.
Okay, you let us know.
Like you go and work, maybe they make you sew stuff. Then you just learn, pick up a new skill, then you sew. Then they pay you $3 for the whole day.
You got time
then
to
you're
read.
like, they only give you $3, but it's okay because like there's no shopping ma.
Yeah.
But you bring your
They pay
$3
you?
to the commissary. Then he's like, you can buy 2 snacks. Wild. You can buy your 2 bogi, then you fucking go back.
It's like having me time.
It's like me time you go back your butts all there. Then like everybody kind
My
of know.
butts.
Everyone's like kind of sensitive because everyone knows everyone's having a hard time. So it's like, hey, y'all want eat poke not? I say, wow, bro, you share poke me. It's for real. You know what I mean? Like these little things, right? These little things mean so much to everyone. I want to go shower together.
You've really fantasized about this. You really.
Now the guys that are in jail, like watching this, then yeah, right. Wow, I feel so much better about my time here.
Jail got TV.
When I'm gonna get escaped.
But actually Singapore,
In their situation, like totally, if they really test negative, right, it's just them telling a story and then getting charged for it.
that's why it says Joseph Schooling confessed.
So there's a lack of trust between both of them to stick to the story if questioned.
This prisoner's dilemma.
Apparently, Joseph Schooling was actually questioned twice. So I think it was on the second time that he confessed.
So it's who don't,
I think.
who don't trust.
Do you
who.
take drugs? No. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Amanda has already admitted.
Yeah.
Oh, they played it.
Yeah.
Then there was a good cop bad cop situation.
It's really game theory. Yeah.
Then they don't give him food and water. Then he. So
That was a very dangerous statement she just said, but sure.
as in, I mean, like
Because when you
according to
smoke,
the
you'll get
US
very hungry,
interrogation
and then you
shows
also
that I
get-
watched on YouTube.
And not based on any facts or figures.
Yeah, I've never been interrogated in Singapore.
Nice. Good disclaimers.
Unlike
I have
What the
Last time I'm very young that time, right? I got arrested. That one time I got arrested, right? He owes me money. He stole the phone, sell it to return me money. But I didn't help him steal the phone, you see. So when he got caught stealing the phone, people asked him, where did the money go? It went to me lah. So then it feels like I'm a criminal mastermind that orchestrate handphone theft, you see.
Can pass.
Yeah, so, and I looked the part.
Yeah.
So then we all got like arrested. Like I was secondary school, we wear school uniform all. Then they were doing assembly. Then the police drive in and then come in and then just like announce on the mic. Then when those police car, it's the first time I sat inside a police car and it's very very
They got watch your head, man.
it's very tight. No, because we were not handcuffed, so we can open the door and go inside.
Check.
Then I remember we just sit there and then the policeman just mock us over and over again at this story. Because we got this brotherhood name lah. Which I don't want to say lah, you know.
Butterfly gang.
Yeah, I mean something like that. I'm very dumb one. Then he just said, "Also, you all call yourself this so that you all are a gang." But it's like there's like 4 of us. You know what I mean? It's just,
Wait, what do you
it's
call
like
yourself?
it's more like
They
a
say,
band name.
What do you call yourself?
Can we guess? Can we guess?
You will never guess.
First letter.
No,
Please.
no, don't derail this.
It's time for Hangman.
Yeah, and that was how I got interrogated for the first time.
Back to schooling, right? I think now like there's quite a bit of conversation surrounding like cannabis consumption and the legality of it, right? The banning of it. Like
marijuana.
why? You have any initial thoughts on this?
I think on one hand, people are shocked that like he is getting prosecuted for taking drugs overseas, which is not unheard of.
Yeah, and why do Singapore laws extend past our borders?
So I actually kind of read up on this, right? Because I was curious. Then I googled it and they said it's because, right, they don't want people to, say for example, if Malaysia says it's legal, or if like Thailand, some neighboring country that is legal there, then if I'm an addict, right, I can just go there to take drugs,
come back,
and then I can keep going and going, and then so therefore they have this law so that it prevents the abuse even in other countries.
There are two things surrounding this, right? One that I feel like a bit of frustration with is the fact that if you understand the history of why this drug is even illegal to begin with, is a bit.
Is it in Singapore or worldwide?
Internationally. So,
right.
like I think you mentioned, right, that when you were reading up, there was this fact about how this cannabis was only made illegal in Singapore in like what?
Weed became illegal in Singapore back in the 1870s, but it was only in 1998 that they started penalizing you for taking it overseas.
Yeah, which is way more recent than I think a lot of people assume lah. The reason why this whole war on drugs started was actually it was a semi-racist and PR move from the US because Mexican immigrants were moving into the US. I can't remember what it was, but the US government wanted to create some association, and there was a specific government official in the US that wanted to use this as a power play. So they basically rebranded the terminology as cannabis, right? And then they associated it with like minority groups. So that's why even like up to today, right, a lot of the implementation of the law is kind of discriminatory towards minority groups like Mexicans and minorities. Yeah. So and then this whole situation spread across. But then in recent years, we are now relearning that this drug is not really bad, right? Like the actual negative effects of like, for example, cigarettes or alcohol is actually way worse in terms of health than cannabis. And cannabis has a lot of positive effects, and which are starting to be implemented. Yeah. So understanding all of this, right? I'm trying to question like, why is it still illegal? For example, like the Olympics, right? We go back to the world of sports, right? There was a lot of like propaganda and like false association by shitty journalism, right? Yeah. With like murder and like all the horrible things with regards to weeds, which now is everything is kind of like being dispelled already. Yeah. So right now, because we do see a global shift in perception of this, like countries are legalizing this drug all over the place, right? So I'm wondering, like within the Olympic Society community, right, I think there's this association called like WABA or something like that, WADA. So they are the ones that manage the drugs use and all this,
right?
And the rules for these sports lah.
WADA,
sports.
World Anti-Doping Agency. Anti-doping.
Yep. So I think there are 3 core points that they are debating and evaluating with regards to cannabis lah. I think the 3 points that they use to measure is whether they harm the health of the athlete, whether they are performance enhancing, and if they are against the spirit of the sport. So spirit of the sport, right, to address that is because if globally it is considered an illicit drug already, then they don't want to go against that narrative. That one, okay, sure, fair enough. But then now that it is changing, the sentiment is changing, then is that really a valid...
I believe most countries are illegal still.
Yeah. So that is one thing that's changing, okay? Harm to health is honestly not true.
Negligible.
So yeah. So that one also void.
Harm to health is like your lungs spoil or those.
Yeah. And then
is it not true though? I feel like
obviously if you over abuse any substance, it can be harmful in some ways.
Yeah.
It depends how you consume it. So if it requires like burning, for example, then you still have the same things like carbon monoxide and whatever.
If you don't burn it, how else do you consume it?
Edibles.
Yeah, there are so many. There's spray-ons. There's a ton of stuff lah.
Right.
Yeah. So then the last one, which is the criteria, which is performance enhancing, right? There's a lot of questions surrounding this really because cannabis is mainly used in the sporting world for faster recovery and and to deal with like anxiety.
Right.
It comes
Exactly
without,
the other way around because it makes you slower actually.
Yeah,
So
it reduces reaction
some
time.
of the doctors or experts in this field are challenging it by saying that if you say that it's performance enhancing, then there are other side effects which actually negate
the enhancement.
Yeah, the benefits of it, which is like it actually slows down or affects your physiology and whatnot. Yeah. So even the performance enhancing component is already
Questionable.
very questionable. Yeah.
But then in that case, right, even if it is not to enhance my performance, could this be banned to protect the athletes also in the case of like, let's say the negative impacts that you are just mentioning?
But there are so many things that athletes do, right? That, like, for example, if you talk about American football also, there are so many practices, there are so many things that they do that are actually detrimental to their health in the long run also.
Ice bath.
Yet they allow it,
Yeah,
you know?
concussions and things like that. No, but I think the issue, I think it's interesting in Brazil, but the issue here is not that he took it as an athlete, though. He took it as a Singaporean, and it's whether the laws here, as like Southeast Asia is slowly decriminalizing it, is Singapore losing out or left behind or not seeing something that other countries are seeing? Or is Singapore seeing something that other countries are not seeing?
Yeah.
But I also think it's about accessibility, right? Because, like, for example, there are going to be poorer nations who are not going to have access to expensive performance enhancing drugs, whereas things like protein is available to everyone.
But cannabis is not expensive.
How you know?
Cannabis it comes from those countries anyway.
No, but I think we need to draw a line between what is considered Class A drugs for now around the world and what is sports enhancing drugs, because I think they are still two completely separate things. Yeah, and so I guess what the world deems as illegal, the sporting world is not going to suddenly deem legal, and then you have sports enhancing drugs, which is a completely different class.
Which I realize has formed some form of traction within the newer generation. It's called biohacking. People just like share drugs that are completely legal that you can order from Amazon. And one of them was telling me it's like a
The limitless drug. Yeah.
What's that?
Show by
It
Bradley
enhances
Cooper.
your focus. It enhances your performance.
It unlocks limiters on your brain.
It's like in US they take some like Adderall or something like that, right?
Adderall or beta-aniline or
Yeah. To study or to do whatever.
Oh yeah. Like you take it and you just focus and nothing except what you're doing at that moment in time. And
Like
it
even
enhances your
cocaine also,
memory.
right?
Which at the
Cocaine.
end of the day is like cool. Like I remember this meme, right?
Cool.
That I thought was quite interesting. Like, what if there was an Olympic-like event, right? That you can just use whatever drugs you want. Let's just see how high man can jump. You know? You just go and pump, you go and lift. You take whatever drugs, right? Then you see you can lift up 3 tons.
That's what the X Games
Cool
I
lah.
would totally watch that.
Let's mutate as a species. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
2 hands not enough.
But okay, I have an important question. Why do people want to take weed? Like back to your question, right? On like, is Singapore falling behind if like everyone else legalize and then we don't legalize, right? But it's like, why? Like, as in, how does it benefit me in my life so much, right, that I want to take it?
So I think fall
like
behind in several aspects, right? I think one, in terms of the economy, like a lot of people expect this to be a massive like economic boom for a lot of countries because it's going
selling.
Yeah, so I mean, you can create farms. I mean, you can like allow private companies to have farms and then tax that or whatnot. So then economically, it could help boost a lot of countries, especially third world countries, right? So whether if Singaporeans or Singapore companies are not allowed to invest in these companies or even set up these companies, are they losing out in a multi-billion-dollar like industry? Like, I think that's one.
We can invest.
Oh, then great.
Well, has
for some people-
capitalism been better or worse for racism? Like if say, right, weed came about because of racism, right? But when capitalism flips that and like when they deem it profitable enough that they want to get into that and therefore legalize the weed, right? Then it has defeated this racism.
Money is evil.
No, because
Money is
there's
great.
no other point. There's no other point in legalizing a new drug.
Oh, I thought in living.
Like why would the government want to legalize a new drug?
Yeah, I agree with John. I think like if Singapore had the choice, right? If like alcohol and smoking was illegal today, I don't think they're going to like legalize that also. So I think like if they had a choice, they wouldn't legalize any drug unless they feel like the people need something like an outlet.
The main big argument that people have been making is that it can be used for medicinal things, right? Like weed. And then like how come Singapore don't even allow that? But that's where they are wrong. So Singapore actually has cases where they have allowed it. And in fact, last year they allowed like it was like the second case of like, if I'm not wrong, it was epilepsy. Like a girl that has epilepsy, right? They allowed the use of cannabis. But then that was only after they were very sure that she had exhausted all other means of treatment. Yeah. So I feel like, I mean, to me, like, I don't really see the point in like needing to take weed, for example. Like it's just extra pleasure, lor.
It's prone to abuse, lah, right? I think we know that. It's like eating rocks, you also end up in the hospital, but it's not prone to abuse, or.
But it's not pleasurable to eat rocks.
If
though.
you eat rocks and then you go to the hospital, you're not gonna get charged, lor.
But is that not the case for so many things?
I know the reason, and it's because Singapore, right? Like you see the one metric that always get brought up during elections, right, by both opposition and the ruling party is productivity.
Yeah.
Chee Soon-Juan loves to bring it up also. And weed, unfortunately, will decrease productivity.
Yeah. But isn't that the same arguments can be made for alcohol?
Yeah, but it's already legalized. So it's whether at some point perhaps...
So if it's really for the good of society, then why aren't they doing anything?
Because it's hard to take away. But so if like weed was still legal, I don't think they will suddenly criminalize it.
I think like the most surprising thing that has come out of this was that Hugo Boss stood by him. Because like when it happened
that's such a low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I feel like people...
When it happened to Michael Phelps got dropped there.
By Under Armour?
By Kellogg's cereal, I think.
Yeah, but Kellogg's is like very wholesome brand.
Yeah, I guess. For children.
Yeah, Hugo Boss not wholesome.
I think they can afford some like to be a bit edgy.
To be honest, if you never say this, I also don't know they are associated with Phelps.
Just as, you know, but
The
I think
cereal.
Yakult has declined to comment though, guys.
Because for children.
and also like I think Yakult Asian brand, Asian values, conservative. Hugo Boss,
Like a boss.
Is Yakult a performance enhancing? Okay, never mind.
shit lah.
Which is performance enhancing in the toilet.
Let's go.
I need to learn how to swim.
Need learn how to get a gold medal.
You know, I once got confused because I was learning freestyle. Then you light it, then you breathe, right? I light it, I breathe out, then breathe in, you suck. Then I give up.
You know what bugs me about freestyle? There is not freestyle. There's a set. There's a set way to swim freestyle. Why is it freestyle?
Why is breaststroke?
It comes from
It's breast.
It's breast.
Breast.
Oh, it's breast?
what? The whole time you be saying breaststroke.
The rest you cannot breathe.
No way.
Everybody just think you have a lisp this whole time.
Yes, yeah.
My mother. It's because of my mother. My whole life she say that. Yeah. Thank you for watching today's episode. All the best to Mr. Joseph Schooling and Miss Amanda Lim. See you in the next episode. Like, share,
Also
and
to me.
subscribe. And also, yeah. You're the most key figure.
Yeah.
We may or may not see him in the next
Yeah,
2
pray for
weeks,
me,
guys.
guys.
Amen.
Let's publish this episode at 4:20 p.m.
Okay, bye-bye. See you in the next episode. Stay lit.
Frog style and breaststroke is the same thing.
But the breast, you can't.
No,
You know?
isn't it? One of them is your head always above water, then the other one is where your head
That one is
go under.
doggy.
Irrigation.